Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of The Summit. Now, tonight, in honor of World Food Day, a better future, and better partnerships. Now, Rwanda continues to make strides in empowering farmers and building resilience through innovation. Tonight, to discuss how we can a food future is, let me start with Dr. Patrick Karangwa, who is the Director General of Agriculture Modernization Animal Resources. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And we also have Dr. Nomatemba, who is the FAO representative in Rwanda. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Matt.
We have Mr. Dagmawi Selassie, the IFAD country director. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. And
last but not least, we have Mrs. Kaori Ura, the WFP deputy country director. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yes, so like I said in the intro, we are here to discuss different ways in which Rwanda, together with its partners, can continue to make strides in terms of transforming its agri-food systems, as well as empowering farmers and so much more. So I will start over with you, Dr. Patrick. Now, this year's theme highlights working hand in hand, and we see that through partnerships and various more linkages. From your perspective, how has partnership between Minagri and UN agencies contributed to transforming Rwanda's agri-food systems so far?
Yeah, thank you. Minagri has very fruitful partnerships with UN agencies, the Rome-based agencies, which we are IFAD, WFP, and FAO, but also other agencies of the UN, like the World Bank, for instance. Rwanda's remarkable transformation journey is definitely fruits of efforts of several stakeholders and partners, but it's all based on the vision of the country. It is all stemming from a vision which is very clear of a transformation of agriculture to food security. And I would give quickly a few examples of how this, for easy consideration. So if we look at some of the key areas, like for instance, dairy development, Rwanda's milk production increased very remarkably. When you look at, for instance, what kind of quantity of milk we had 15 years ago, we had less than 200,000 tons of milk production. We had 189,000 metric ton. By 2020, metric ton of milk. That is 5 times more. So showing the examples of these partnerships is like projects like partnership with IFAD, where we had projects like Rwanda Dairy Development Project, played a very significant role in enabling Rwanda to make such strides in milk production. We have also many other examples, like in irrigation, where big projects in irrigation, like Rwanda, the Rural Sector Support Project, and the recent project, CDAT, commercialization and de-risking for agricultural transformation, and many more like LWH projects. All those projects have made it possible, the realization of Rwanda's ambition, development goals for transformation of agriculture, although there's still a lot to be done. But when you look at where we are coming from, it is already commendable. The progress done and the partnerships that have been involved are very significant. Yeah, I would stop here for a while. We may come back later. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And over to you, Dr. Nomatemba. FAO has placed a strong focus on empowering youth and women in agribusiness, and this has been evident through various things that FAO has been part of. How is this being achieved in Rwanda, and what success stories stand out to you?
Thank you very much. So the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, really aligns its work here in Rwanda with the aspirations and goals of the government of Rwanda. So in that regard, we start from making sure that there is an enabling environment for women and youth to participate effectively in agri-food systems. And we have been quite involved together with Minagri in the development of the strategy, which really recognizing the key role that both youth and women play in transforming agri-food systems. So that's the enabling environment part. But then we also implement programs and projects. And here we really empower youth and women in turning their ideas into real projects and also building their capacity so that they can benefit effectively from value chains. Let me give you an example. For instance, in 3 districts in the recent years, we've been the poultry value chain is very, very amenable for both women and youth because the period it takes from when they have chicks to when they lay eggs is quite reasonable, and they can make a decent income out of that. So we have been promoting these projects in 3 districts of Nyanza, Nyaruguru, and Ruhango, where we have provided infrastructure, what we call poultry model farms, and equipped the youth groups particularly, which also include young women, with infrastructure that they need, which is the poultry farms, the feed and the chickens, which are ready to lay, as well as building their capacity on good practices for rearing those chickens. And what is really interesting about this program is that from the production of those poultry model farms, 10% is actually contributed to early childhood development centers, which then also tackles the issue of nutrition in the communities in which these poultry model farms exist. And so far, we've seen how these linkages have not only created livelihoods for the groups that we have supported, but have also impacted the graduation for the malnourished children that are in these early childhood centers as well as health centers. So this is one concrete program. But we have others, such as the fruit orchards, where we really promote doing business, doing agriculture as a business, and these are, the different value chains that we really support for young people and women in agri-food systems. Thank you.
Yes, and through these projects that have been set up to support youth and women, especially contributed to dealing with the stigma around young people or even women entering agribusinesses?
Yes, so we work with young people, and now I think we have to change the narrative, because we've seen a lot of young people that are actually venturing into agribusiness. And this morning we actually were amazing things in agriculture. Most been a change in this mindset about the opportunities that young people can actually generate from agriculture as entrepreneurs.
Yes, thank you for that. Over to you, Mr. Dagmawi. IFAD's work often centers around long-term rural transformation. Now, what milestones has IFAD achieved?
Thanks again for having us tonight. IFAD, first of all, is the International Fund for Agricultural Development. We're part of the Rome-based agencies that we see here, but we're an IFI, the fund in our name. And our work centered really around supporting governments and their ambition for development of the agriculture and rural development sector. What we've done over the past, been here for about 40 years, and we have close to $1 billion of investments in country. And over the past, let's say, 10 to 15 years, we've been focusing on 4 main value chains. One is dairy. I think DG Patrick mentioned some of the successes and the good initiatives that were helping us, and now we do have more investment from private sector coming in on the dairy sector. We do work in the small ruminants and the small livestock with PRISM. It's a program that we have with Minagri as well, supporting young women and men get access to assets such as pigs. We support the Garinka model for those value chains. We also have major investments in irrigation and infrastructure in Kayanza. QIP is a major program for us that helps us. And more importantly also, not importantly, as important is our support to the export sector. I think Rwanda has done leaps and bounds in terms of what the export sector was 10, 20 years ago to where it is now. I don't know if you saw in the news last week, we've had a record for the price of coffee to be sold coming from Rwanda, $88 per kilo. So our model, or what we try to do, is really build sustainable models, inclusive models, and how do we bring in private sector and other players to come in? How do we de-risk? And I think this is a major role for us as development partners, is how do our interventions, government, IFAD, and other partners come in and make it easier for private sector to enter agribusiness, make it viable, and be able to bring in young people, women and men, to innovate and really transform the sector. So we do have a lot of small stories, but I think overall this is what we're looking to do. And the next 5 years under PSTA 5 and the NST2, I think we have an ambitious goal for all of us here, and many others are not here. And we're very keen to really keep going on that journey. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And over to you, Mrs. Kayori. WFP has been instrumental in supporting Rwanda's school feeding program that we continue to see prosper. How does this initiative go beyond providing meals to contribute to long-term food security as well as education outcomes?
Thank you so much for the question, also having us here tonight. I think the school feeding is really a long-term investment into the people's health and the growth in the long term. First, to talk about the education side of the really good benefit. It's globally proven, actually. Many countries do have school feeding program, and we take a lot of the survey and to know, okay, what are we really getting out of this? And it is on average globally, it's an 8% increase in terms of attendance, and that was also the same for Rwanda. Rwanda have made a national school feeding program that was completely became universal right now, reaching 4.5 million children every day. And that, since it started, that attendance have really dramatically increased. Also, when it comes to mathematics, reading, the literacy score, all of that indicators, it has shown improvements, and that's why the Ministry of Education have been really taking a strong ownership and leadership and making this really funded through the government programs, which is really a bright star in this continent, because it's not always the case that the universal coverage is made possible by the government institutions. So it was really amazing to see, and we are very proud to be part of that journey. On the side of, but that's not the end of the benefit, because to provide the food every day, that food will be sourced somewhere, and then in the school feeding program here, it is all 100% locally sourced. So now it's done to the government procurement process, but also we are encouraging through our support through WFP that making sure that it's nutritious. So that means fresh food is incorporated, and fresh food means it's better to be procured locally. So we provide cash to schools, and they can procure locally the fresh food from the local farmers who may not have had actually markets before. Now with the school feeding program, they are connected. They have the stable source demand coming to the school from the school. And that's kind of really a win-win situation. where not just education achievement that contributes to the long-term economic growth for the country, for better, healthy, Rwandans are there for the economy, but also making sure that that has a multiplier effect on the local economy through the demand creation.
Thank you for that. Back to you, Dr. DG Patrick. How is Rwanda integrating climate-smart agriculture practices to be able to build resilience among smallholder farmers?
When we look at more implementation projects level, at policy level, what we call the strategic plan for our agriculture transformation is a food system strategy which aims for building resilient and sustainable food systems. That's the strategy of our goal. I want also to make sure that I mention that this partnership also was very key in developing and packaging together this policy. FAO played a very significant role, and other agencies, IFAD and WFP, and other partners their contribution were very significant as we were packaging together a strategy for building resilient food systems. And besides the policy level, we've got significant projects for addressing the issues of climate change, and especially in those areas like in the eastern province especially. Some of the key projects in irrigation, we can quote some like the Gabiro Agribusiness Hub, but this is more large-scale commercial farming. But even at small-scale farmers, like Kiwip, the Kayonza Integrated Watershed Project, where we partner with IFAD, has made it possible for thousands of farmers to have water for livestock and for crops, and for building, for growing crops that cope better with the climate change problems, with drought, like fruit orchards instead of those annual crops which will quickly be affected by drought. We are also promoting conservation agriculture. You may be aware of this school, the university in Bugesera, which is Rwanda Institute of Conservation Agriculture, which is fully dedicated to conservation agriculture. Conservation agriculture is one of these very important pillars of building resilience and sustainable food systems and climate-smart agriculture, because it allows the soil to retain water and reduce soil erosion. So as we look at what else can be done, I think there's still a lot more to be done by especially involving the involvement of private sector. Government has been putting efforts into de-risking agriculture, because the private sector tends to be reluctant to put money in agriculture, in those technologies like climate smart agriculture and others, thinking that the money will be just lost, because they think of agriculture as a very risky area of investment. So that's why government has introduced, like, among others, agriculture insurance, where government subsidizes, helps farmers to insure their crops and animals, but also projects which allow low interest rates and matching grants that help farmers to access finance. So I thought it was also very critical to highlight the importance of private sector and the financial institutions in making this possible. And the contributions so far are too small in comparison with where we should be. Currently, of the overall loans that goes in the economy, only 6% goes into agriculture sector. So this is too tiny when you compare with what you should be having as a sector of economy which contributes actually a quarter to the economy. Agriculture contributes 25%. Just 6%. So you see this unfairness. that in the theme of this World Food Day, which is
in terms of the climate smart agricultural practices.
Yeah, the farm. We see that the farmers, as soon as the farmers believe based on facts. They usually, you need to just show them with usually proceed with having some, if you are comparatively with what they have been doing previously. We have, for instance, countrywide have over 50% of all sales of Rwanda administrative units have been establishing demonstration plots in the farmers' areas so that they can see themselves that it works. And we are seeing adoption really increasing. But also, it is very important also for the farmers to be, because of the challenge of fragmentation of land, about 80% of our farmers households, they farm on only about 0.4 hectares. This is too tiny a plot for being able to meet the technology, the cost of technology. You will not be going to bring like a tractor to just farm 0.5 hectares or other technologies. That's why the government puts a lot of efforts in land use consolidation, where small plots of thousands of farmers can be managed as one large farm, but it requires appropriate governance and organizational structures. That's why, as policy in the ministry, we are promoting this what we call food basket sites program, where big sites can be considered as one large farm, where investments are that can energize the efforts. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Over to you, Dr. Nomatemba. Nutrition remains essential to this year's World Food Day message. How is FAO supporting Rwanda in improving nutrition outcomes through local food production as well as awareness campaigns?
Thank you very much. Indeed, nutrition is central to this year's theme, because when we talk about better fuel, a better future, better foods and a better future, it really means we have to do things differently in a more integrated manner. And for FAO, we have a strategy which is on which rests on 4 pillars, which is better production, which is making sure that the food is available, better nutrition, which is what I'm going to be focusing on. And here, under better nutrition, it's where we raise awareness on diverse diets. It's where we raise awareness on having different foods in a plate. A healthy plate has to contain vegetables, has to contain animal source protein, it has to contain also the carbohydrates, not only just one type of the food. And then we also have to do that in a sustainable manner. So one of the third pillar is around better environment. And then lastly, we believe once we have this, we can achieve a better life. So better foods and a better future, right? And for us, I would like to highlight 2 examples that really speak to that. In terms of awareness raising, one of the things that we've done is, like I mentioned earlier with the poultry model farms, is really to showcase that what is part of the value chains which are lucrative and can generate jobs as well as income can actually be used to solve nutritional challenges. I spoke about malnutrition of children, where we are linking the poultry model farms to the early childhood centers, which supports the government initiative of 1 egg per child per day initiative. Once again, we have compiled, together with Minagri as well as the Rwanda Arts Initiative, a book, a recipe book, which we call Ruhimbi, Rwanda Gastronomy and Culinary Art. A book that showcases Rwandan cuisine. And this is a way of raising awareness on the diverse foods and local foods that are available. And it really promotes the use of what we call forgotten foods, such as sorghums and millets, which are really nutritious foods, but you are not as popular nowadays as they used to be traditionally. So we're really working with the RAI to promote this recipe book. And I'm really happy to report that it actually won the Command Award, which really recognizes the diversity of the foods in Rwanda. And as such, we have worked with other UN agencies such as UNICEF to really build awareness on nutritional aspects of food. So, and we promote nutrition-sensitive agriculture. And what do I mean by nutrition-sensitive agriculture? Is promoting foods or cultivation of crops and rearing of livestock, as well as aquaculture, which then provides this diverse diet, which is the basis for good nutrition. Yes, so these are some of the initiatives that we have, and we're working together with Minagri, as I said, as well as other partners. We are happy that our Rome-based agencies such as IFAD have the dairy value chain, because that also means that consumers, so there's both the production side as well as the sustainable consumption side, where our consumers have access to diverse diets, including dairy, including horticulture. So we also promote cultivation in the value chains of horticultural projects, where we've also gone to realize, as DG Patrick was saying, the limited availability of land, especially access for youth, and we are promoting vertical farming, which uses hydroponics and does not require a lot of land. Therefore, young people as well as other agripreneurs are able to produce vegetables in a small area using these vertical farms. And these are ways in which we really are promoting nutrition. So better nutrition for a better future and better foods.
Yes, it's great to hear the different ways in which all that has been contributing to people understanding the fact that they can have access to this diverse nutrition, especially through locally produced foods. And now through the awareness campaigns, that has done so much in terms of raising the awareness, but is it doing its job in terms of people understanding the needs, or a lot more still needs to be done?
No, I think, you know, we say like 83%, I think, of Rwandese are food secure, which I think is really good progress, but we still have the 17. So I cannot say our job is done until we reach each and every individual and make sure that everybody has access to a diverse diet, to lead a healthy life, which is the mandate of the organization. So to answer your question, we still have more to do, and we will thrive to continue working with our partners, various partners, to really continue the work, going into schools, going into working with farmers through farmer field schools, for instance, making sure that nutrition education is part of what they do in the field. And in choosing what to cultivate, we have, for instance, biofortified crops such as high iron beans, which not only provide food which is needed, but also can address nutritional challenges such as iron deficiency. And so these are things that we still need to work on more and more. And we have a growing population, so our job is not done yet. And I think that's where we emphasize that that we need to deepen our collaboration with both government as well as partners, including development partners, private sector, to really achieve our nutritional and food security goals.
Thank you for that. Mr. Dagmawi, as Rwanda advances its roadmap toward zero hunger, what are some of the most critical investments, or if I may say innovations, IFAD is supporting at the community or national level?
Thank you. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we have 4 major areas of intervention, and it's not, as a father, it's not easy to pick your favorite child, right? But at least not publicly. But the dairy sector is one area where we feel could have major transformation happening in the next 5 years with RDDP, the second phase. Maybe 2 innovations in that's going to be quite interesting. One is a Songa, Artificial Insemination Center. In the next 2 years, Rwanda will have one of the state-of-the-art centers that's going to solve most of the genetic issues that we have as challenges for our cows and our milk. So that's a progress. We've started the first phase already, but in the second phase, we're really scaling up Songa, and our smallholder farmers will be, at least won't have to worry about the genetics issue moving forward, which is one of the major challenges for our milk productivity. The other one under the dairy sector is also what we're doing with the digitization of the dairy sector. I think, as globally we're seeing a big transition, digital transition happening, and we try, at least at IFAD, to make it as inclusive as possible. And with the dairy sector, soon we're working on a program with MinICT and Minagri to really build the digital public infrastructure to be able to house so much information that's going to alleviate a lot of the issues. Let me give for example. For once, if I'm a trader, I go to Noma, who's a farmer, when she gives me milk, on my phone I'll be able to register her liters of milk that I receive. With that information, Noma, you'll have a lot of information on understanding the type of cows she has, if they're insured or not, if how many liters of milk does she give, with that, I think Deja Patrick mentioned earlier that banks are not giving enough money to the sector. But as you talk to banks, you realize some of the challenges they have is information, for example, of farmers, visibility, understanding the transactions are happening. So with this digital infrastructure that we're building, in the next few years, it will lead you a lot more visibility. Banks are very much interested in what we're looking to do and be able to pay for those services to get that information, but also will help us better understand the farmers. I'm using Norma as my as my farmer, but we'll know a bit more what are the needs of Noma as a farmer, what's wrong with their cows, if there's any issues with pictures, using AI technology to be able to really respond. So and I think Rwanda under the PSTA 5, there's a huge ambition to move towards digitalization and to help us really gain efficiencies, not digitize for the sake of doing it, but really understanding where investments will get us efficiency in our sector so we can maximize those returns on that side.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I was just going to ask, in terms of the digital infrastructure that you just spoke about, especially knowing the benefits that can bring data collection, data storage, and so much more, are the stakeholders in agribusiness, in those contributing to food security, being open-minded towards accepting all the digitization and all the changes that the digital infrastructure could bring into that?
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's a very valid question, and one of the first steps we've done is really do an assessment of the capacity of our stakeholders to be able to take on all these innovations that we want to bring in. So we've done an assessment to really understand what the farmers are looking for, what are the milk collection centers, how equipped they are, what are their needs to be able to do so. And I think as we go towards this digital transformation, what's important to farmers and most people, if there's benefits to them, if they see either in productivity and getting help or in making money, those are the things that speak to them. And if they see a positive use, that digital inclusion or digital services are bringing a positive to their livelihoods and the way they do their work, I think that's a much easier sell than if it wasn't doing that. So it's really important as we go towards this digitalization journey in the agriculture sector that we're ensuring that we're investing in key areas that are really adding value to our end beneficiaries
yes.
and people around.
Thank you for that. And back to you, Mrs. Kayori. Given the global challenges affecting food prices as well as supply chains, how is the WFP helping Rwanda build stronger, more resilient food systems that ensure affordability and accessibility for all?
Thanks for that question. I think the food system is quite a big system, as you can imagine. So it's not certainly just a WFP alone work. All the intervention that's mentioned earlier is really toward building the food systems for this country. So yeah, just our contribution is just part of that, and including also the example that I mentioned earlier, basically leveraging the school feeding as the demand and creating a market for the farmers through that channel. But we also try to also involve more private sector into the value chain. So, for example, we partner with banks to give better loans for the farmers. We build quite a bit of relationship with private sector through our regular, in a way, operation where WFP provides cash assistance. Then we also have partnership with financial service providers, and then we can also leverage that partnership to bring more better, actually, financial services, even for the vulnerable population who may not usually have access to those financial services. And it's actually an important piece of the value chain in a way, because without the financing, no one can actually grow. Even though you might have a small business, potential to grow, but if no one is willing to really lend the money, then there's not much of a potential for expansion. So we are leveraging those partnerships, bring those actors together, so that even the small businesses can also support the farmers who are trying to start, better production and so forth. So we're trying to enhance that sort of network of private sectors by encouraging those linkages. Other than that, of course, we support in many other aspects, including, our aim is really to reduce the food insecure population in this country. So as WFP, we are not really targeting the commercial farmers to export. That's not really our competitive advantage, but we are really trying to look at the community level, really food insecure population, to be able to start production better. And then for that reason, we consider that those kind of market linkages are really key, because if you just do the subsistence farming, then you would be very vulnerable to shocks and climate changes. I think everyone feels it, or the flooding, and rain patterns are not regular and so forth. So it's becoming harder and harder. So we are trying to bring that segment of the population as much as possible to the better conditions through those various interventions, including like cooperatives and supporting those formations and village savings and loans associations, so that they have also their own capital and then invest among themselves to start small business and so forth, to create assets. So those kind of mini support, but in many different areas across the country, which we hope really will build the resilience of the families and communities.
Yes, and how could you describe the outcomes or even the progress achieved since WFP, together with other stakeholders that you mentioned, started helping Rwanda build that resilience, especially to ensure the affordability or even the accessibility?
So the food security assessment is run every 4 years, and then progressively, actually, the food insecure population percentage have been decreased, and it's, as mentioned earlier, it's currently 70%. It was much higher, actually, in previous years, and it's really steadily decreasing. So this is amazing, actually. And of course, challenges are many. Yes. And it's not just Rwanda, actually. High food prices is actually everywhere. Globally. And it's a difficult one to tackle. But I think the great prospect here in Rwanda is that, of course, the rain is also ample compared to other African countries that I have seen. So that's already a good environment is there. But also the government ownership and leadership is very, very strong in terms of the investment, the vision, which of course all of us align as a partners to really make that into a reality. Without that, often it becomes even harder when the situation is already hard enough in terms of environment outside of the country.
Yes. Thank you very much for that. Back to you, DG Patrick. What are some of the key policies or initiatives that Minagri is prioritizing to ensure that Rwanda's agriculture sector continues to drive inclusive growth and be able to achieve food security for all?
Yeah, thank you. Well, under the National Strategy of Transformation, NST2, the government of Rwanda aims to double the investments from 2.2 billion to 4.6 billion by 2029. And also, we want to double the exports, or agricultural exports, which currently stand around almost 890 million USD. Want to move to close to 2 billion USD in value of agricultural exports, and many more ambitious goals that we have in these five years. For that to happen, a number of enablers are which are already being implemented and some more coming. There are improvements, revamping in the extension system, the way the farm producers can access the knowledge, agricultural knowledge, to produce the professionalization of farmers and access to information, to extension. We have got this policy of customized agricultural extension that which is currently coming in just now, that is going to be more involving also the private sector in extension system, mainstreaming private sector, because reliance on only public extension system to drive transformation over the past decades, we have seen that there is always what is lacking to also on board for the private people. It can be transformational if really very well on board in this regard, and that's why this policy is coming in now. Dagmari has already mentioned the digitization and AI. We are premising on digital technologies and artificial intelligence technologies. Also, not only in the extension system where farmers will be able to have predictions, for example, on the weather forecasting, real-time access to weather information to reduce the problems of climate change and being affected by lack of information about the weather. But also in the forecasting of pests and diseases, they could know ahead of time because of digital and AI technologies, be able to cope better with such problems that affect farmers worldwide. Not only the transformations in the farmers' access to knowledge and so on, but also their organizations, as I mentioned earlier about the food basket sites. We are promoting, or we are seeing as a driver also the way the farmers are governed and managed in their farms, such that they could access the inputs and technology and finance as well. All this, without finance, you see that it will be very difficult to achieve. The way they can access technology and finance is very important. And research also is being given proper consideration, strengthening research across. For instance, we may have heard of this biotechnology, the genetically modified crops, for instance, for the problems of climate resilience. In Rwanda, we are now introducing some of the crops which are coping much better than other crops in terms of climate and pests and diseases. We have got GMO cassava, which is now entering what we call the national performance trials, which is resistant to cassava brown streak disease. We have got potato GMO, which is resistant to a disease called late blight disease. We have got also upcoming soon maize GMO, which is drought tolerant and resistant to pests. These are some of the innovations in research, in extension, and organization of producers that we think are going to be instrumental, transformational, in enabling the government and the Rwanda at large, the general, to achieve the ambitions of doubling agricultural export, increasing productivity by 50% at least on all priority crops. That is also under the NST2, and doubling investment as well. As the more agriculture becomes more attractive, the more investors we actually will be big drawn to it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for that. And now, Dr. Noma, Mr. Dagmawi also spoke about digital infrastructure that we touched on, but in terms of innovation, how is FAO encouraging that digital and technological solutions among farmers and cooperatives to increase productivity and to be able to reduce that post-harvest losses that sometimes do occur?
Okay, so in line with the principle of leaving no one behind, and also in line with the provision of advisory services, as already mentioned by DG Patrick, we have what we call Digital Villages Initiative, which really is about making sure that farmers who are mostly in rural areas and sometimes don't have the gadgets and are literate to access some of these digital technologies, are not left behind. So what we have done as FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, is to really work with farmer cooperatives, first of all around digital literacy, that is identifying youth champions in the districts where we have a presence, working with those and equipping them with tablets and a data modem for them to be able to access the information. We are also collaborating with Minagri as well as other partners on contributing to the chatbot, which is AI-enabled and makes available advisory services to farmers. So this is how we are embracing technology, because digitalization, because it's here to stay. So we support government efforts to make sure that the rural folks are not left behind. And then in terms of post-harvest management, we are looking at how to equip and working again. We have piloted in Nyagatare, for instance, looking at technologies that can look at moisture content, for instance, to preserve grain that is in these warehouses. And this is use of smart technologies to be able to monitor changes in the environment so as to preserve the food in those warehouses. And we continue to learn as a global organization. We continue to see how other countries are innovating in this space. And we haven't really done it in Rwanda, but we are hoping and looking forward to resource partners to support some of the work that we plan to do to actually promote what we call AI-enabled warehouses and silos, which really will monitor the environment within these granaries and silos to ensure that the moisture content, the conditions are conducive for the preservation of the food. So this is some of the ways in which we are doing this. But allow me to also say, in terms of post-harvest management, there is much more. And this is also relates to the earlier question that you posed to me, related to how we engage women and youth. So post-harvest management has an array of activities, from simply proper handling of, for instance, if you handle fruits properly without bruising, that preserves their shelf life longer. So that's part of post-harvest management. We support that and raise awareness around that. But there's also value addition. For instance, when there is excess dry the leaves and make them available throughout the year. So this is not only about preserving the production, which is post-harvest management, but also making sure that we are talking to the nutritional aspect, because that's a vegetable then that can be preserved longer and can enhance the nutrition of households. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And Mr. Dagmawi, looking ahead, how can partnerships between IFAD, FAO, WFP, as well as Minagri, and various which is zero hunger?
Thank you. And I think that's a good segue to what this team is, right? Hand in hand for World Food Day. And us as Rome-based agencies or RBAs have been engaging a lot on seeing how we can build more synergies within our programs that are happening. So how does animal protein reach the school feeding program that WFP is leading or the source? And we're also in touch with Minagri. I think Minagri has been leading the coordination of partners. I think that's where coordination rests, is within government to guide us and tell us where the investments are. And also answer to the calls of government in terms of what are our priorities. I think DJ Patrick mentioned the needs in terms of financing, for example. So, you know, over the past 2 years, we've had government as a major co-financer for us. For us, moving forward, it's important that there's more cohesion, coordination between us, where we find those areas of convergence and how we can leverage each other's strengths. I hope that you got a better sense of what each of the institutions' focus is over the past hour that we've been discussing, and how do we leverage each other's strength under, you know, the guidance of government and Minagri to really drive that sustainable change that
It is in the theme. It cannot be stressed enough, hand in hand to achieve better food for a better future, and it is a major theme this year. Can you maybe briefly share some examples of how the World Food Programme is collaborating with local communities and government partners to strengthen nutrition and food assistance programs?
Yeah, at the national level, our collaboration, just taking an example of school feeding, is obviously with the Ministry of Education, but of course with the Ministry of Agriculture. We also signed a MOU, basically multi-ministry MOU with WFP. We just signed actually recently for the next phase of the school feeding program support. That also includes the Ministry of Local Government as well as the Ministry of Trade and Industry. Local government in a sense of coordination at the local level, school feeding working group is active. That is really the facilitator to troubleshoot what happens in a school feeding operation, and then also the trade and industry in terms of supporting the cooperatives and so forth. So it was very important to formalize that agreement. You can see many ministries are involved, but it's also a very good sign of collaboration among the ministries, which really facilitating the success of the important initiatives such as school feeding. We also work very closely with the MINEMA, that is the emergency, because our strength lies in the emergency operation, where we support in terms of the disaster risk preparedness and so forth. So that's also a key partner for us. When it comes to the local communities, WFP is present in 3 field offices. Actually, we have an office in Huye, Kirehe, and also Karonji, and that's our strength as well. Local presence, local engagement is really key, not just because to do the project, but really to make sure that the needs that are particular to the community level is really taken, into account when we think about what kind of project to implement, what really is needed on the ground, but also making sure that there is the sustainability at the end of the day. Because if we don't really understand the community needs, and if the solution is not fitting into that needs, then of course the end result is that whatever we do, it's not going to last. So it's very important from the beginning to really consult really closely with the community, really stand by to support throughout the project period, And then, of course, the further engagement with the local authority also ensures that there is the proper identification of the most vulnerable locations that we should be prioritizing our resources as well. So all in all, it's such a key partner, key engagement that really brings us success, whatever we do.
Yes. Wow, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but this was very informative and insightful, and I'm sure the viewers watching can agree. And as we celebrate World Food Day 2025, one message definitely stands out. When we work hand in hand, we can be able to achieve a future free from hunger. So I would like to once again thank you to my dear guest, Dr. Patrick. Thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Noma, thank you for sharing your insights as well.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Dagmawi, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And last but not least, Mrs. Kayuri, thank you for taking your time to be here.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and to our dear guests and viewers, thank you for being part of this conversation, as well as tuning in to be able to contribute to a better future with better food. And once again, I'm your host, Martina Abera. Let's stay focused on the message as well as contributing to conversations that make a difference. Have a good night.